Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamerspro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. This has been one of the funkiest All-Star weekends I've seen in a while, right? And you guys know that the NBA is known as the league that's always willing to try new things. This is how they've been. They came up with the team captains, all of these different things. But this year, for the All-Star game, they went back to the traditional format of West versus East, which I thought was just fine. It simplifies things, to be quite honest with you. So I like the return to that. But there was something that took place during the All-Star weekend on Saturday, because, you know, Saturday they have the skills challenge, the three-point contest, and the three-point contest and the slam dunk contest, right? And I didn't watch any of it. But there was a guy from I forgot the name, the white dude's name from the Sixers. He pulled off this like double clutch reverse dunk when he caught the ball and like palmed it in the air, and that was absolutely insane. But anyway, leading up into the weekend, there was the hype that was surrounding this contest between Stephen Curry, and I want to get the WNBA player's name correct, Sabrina Ionescu. I hope I pronounced her name properly. If I didn't, I apologize. He plays for the New York Liberty. So essentially, what the NBA had in mind was these two athletes were going to have a shootout, three-point shootout. And when the idea initially came up, if I'm being honest with you, I didn't pay much attention to it. But as the event grew closer, I was just like, okay, what is going on here? I was unclear about why they were doing it. Now, some may say the reason that they were doing it was to try to promote the WNBA game. Possibly. I wasn't 100% clear. Anyway, at the end of the contest, Stephen Curry came out victorious. So what happened? I went through the internet over the weekend and I came across the story centered on a back and forth on TNT between Reggie Miller and Kenny Smith. And apparently what had happened was, after Stephen Curry won the competition, Kenny Smith was saying that she should have shot from the WNBA three-point distance. And Reggie Miller was like, no, she can shoot from the NBA player's distance. And he was like, why are you trying to put limitations on her and do all of this stuff? And Kenny Smith was like, no. He was like, it was an unfair fight, right? And they were kind of having this back and forth. And Reggie Miller was trying to kind of accuse Kenny Smith of being misogynistic or saying that, you know, women can't do what men can do. And I was like, this is getting really, really weird. So what we want to do is want to quickly play the exchange between these two gentlemen. It's only about a minute and a half or so. And then we're going to come back and give you guys our thoughts. Take a listen to what these gentlemen had to say here.
I think she should have shot from her. She should have shot from the women's line. That would have been a fair contest. I still root for Sabrina.
We all are rooting for Sabrina.
No.
This is not
She should have shot from the three-point line that the women shoot from.
Why are you putting those boundaries on her?
That's not a boundary. That's what the game is.
She wanted to shoot.
They have a smaller ball, don't they?
She shot a WNBA ball.
WNBA ball is smaller.
She shot with the WNBA
yeah,
ball.
She should have shot from the line. There's a women's tee in golf and there's a men's tee for a reason.
No. She a shooter shoot. Isn't that what you said?
Yeah, but they shoot from where they shoot from.
No.
Thank you.
No.
Sabrina,
good job, Sabrina.
No,
but don't let any man put boundaries on you like Kenny.
Well, then give him a regular ball then.
Don't let
give him
any
the same
man
ball.
put boundaries on you.
Give him a regular ball then. It's not fair.
Curry
I disagree.
made 8 of the 9.
And men versus women in the three-point contest, we put the best 4 NBA players against the best WNBA players. Shooters shoot, and let's see it. Even playing field. There's no 10-foot rim that holds you back, and let's knock it down.
Well, according to you, you want her just playing with dolls, right?
No, I want her to shoot from where she shoots from.
No, she does shoot threes in the game.
Not from there.
Caitlin Court.
All right, coming up, it's the AT&T Slam Dunk.
So you heard the exchange. Here are my thoughts. First of all, I don't like what Reggie Miller was doing. Reggie Miller was trying to pander, I believe. Because I don't believe what Reggie Miller was trying to suggest Kenny Smith was doing was what Kenny Smith was implying. Kenny Smith I believe, was saying, listen, they have a certain distance in which they shoot the ball. And apparently, and I didn't know this, that the size of the ball is different in the WNBA and the NBA, according to them. I was unaware of this, right? So I think that what Kenny Smith was saying was, for it to be a fair fight, I think both players should be in their natural comfort zones, so both players have the best chance at winning, right? Reggie Miller, for reasons I don't understand, decided to take it to the level of, you're trying to put limitations on women. And what did he say? You would be happy if she was just playing with dolls and all. I'm like, how do we get to that level? Now, obviously, you guys know Reggie Miller has a sister that was very, very prolific at basketball. But nevertheless, I think what Reggie Miller did was unfair because he wasn't looking at the intent of Kenny Smith. I don't believe Kenny Smith was saying they don't belong on the same stage together. He was just saying, let's make it a fair fight. Now, Reggie Miller, I believe, was then saying, I think implying that, are you suggesting that they can't do what the NBA players do? And I think that he took it into a totally different realm than the conversation needed to even go into. Because what's going to happen is now people all over the internet are upset with Kenny Smith. Because as if he came out there and said something against women when he didn't. And as a matter of fact, he was actually supporting her having the best chance to maximize her abilities to go out there and win the competition. And Reggie Miller was saying no. So then Kenny Smith said, okay, then let them shoot with the same ball then. Let's keep everything equal. And then the conversation went off into something else. I think given the state of affairs with the United States, I think a lot of people are looking for things to get worked up about, to get offended about. We're living this era where everyone is sensitive about every single thing that's being said out there. And I think for Reggie Miller to pour fuel on that fire, I don't like that because he was putting Kenny Smith in a compromising position, in my personal view. He made it into something that it wasn't. And there are people like this, right? They just, and I'm like, why are you doing this? Why are you taking it into a totally different realm? The guy didn't have any ill intentions, at least I don't believe so. So to be then trying to suggest that he's trying to hold women down, like, bro, cut it out. Like, can we stop? I'm just so annoyed. As you guys know, the NBA put on that madness yesterday, which was called the All-Star Game, which was an absolute joke, right? An absolute joke, total waste of time. All I saw was the first quarter, and after I saw that they attempted 47 threes in the first quarter to combine between the two teams, I'm turning this off. This is not basketball. There's no competitive fervor. These dudes don't care. And if they don't care, I don't care. I'm not interested in watching 100 million threes and layups. I'm just not interested. And dare I say, this year's game was worse than last year's game. And last year's game was the worst ever. I'm one of the proponents, and I raise my hand. I'm one of the proponents. See me over here. I raise my hand. I'm one of the people that's been calling this era the cupcake era. Me. I don't agree with Gilbert Arenas, and half of these do. Oh, this is the most skilled, the skill. What about the heart? What about the competitiveness? What about the defense? What about that? I thought these dudes were supposed to be competitive. Why are we not seeing this? Last time I heard somebody give a definition of the All-Star game, which was Kobe Bryant, he said it's supposed to be the greatest pickup game in the world. Was that the greatest pickup game you've seen in the world? Well, no, let's figure it out. Some people are saying, oh, well, players, they don't want to get injured in these All-Star games because they don't want to go hard. It's one of two things. It's either people are stupid that say that, or they think that the people that they're talking to are stupid. So you're telling me that if you go hard in an All-Star game, which occurs one time a year, you may risk getting injured. So what are you doing for all the other 82 games? You're not playing hard then? Isn't there a greater probability to get injured in 82 games versus one? So if you played hard in this one game, would it make a difference? Well, no, it wouldn't. But these guys think we're stupid, or either they're stupid. Nevertheless, these are the arguments that are being thrown back and forth across the table every single day. So what happened? That disaster took place last night. And at the end of it, they were talking to LeBron James, who's still the face of the NBA. They were asking him about his career moves and what he plans to retire and all of that, which I'll not be getting into today. But then they got into the question, the reporter asked him a direct question, LeBron, what are we going to do about this All-Star game? He said, is this what the players want? And is this what the fans want? And LeBron James finally came to the admission publicly where he admitted that this is the softest cupcake era in the history of basketball. So what we want to do is want to play exactly what LeBron James had to say, and I'm going to come back and give you guys our thoughts. Take a listen to what LeBron James had to say here about the cupcake era.
Tim, standing on the right.
LeBron 211 to 186 is things we've never seen in an All-Star game. You know that Adam and others from the league had talked about making it more competitive. Is this what players want, though? Is this, you think, what fans want, too?
Man, I don't know. I mean, I think it's something we need to figure out. I don't know where's the median, because this is what a lot of the games are starting to look like now too. We wanted to, get more, more pace into the games. We want to get more shots. We wanted the game to be more free flowing. We stopped letting the game be, freedom of movement. A lot of freedom of movement now, and that's what a lot of our games is in the regular season now. They let us tighten up in the postseason. So it's a deeper dive into a conversation of how we can shore up this game. Obviously, from a player's perspective, it's fun to get up and down, but at the end of the day, our competitive nature don't like just being able to just have free-flowing scoring like that. So, but I think the good thing that came out of tonight is none of the players were injured, and everybody came out unscathed or, how they were before the game started. So, but it's a deeper conversation.
So you heard what LeBron had to say about the cupcake era. LeBron said there needs to be a discussion that needs to be had. We just produced a video recently. I don't know if you saw it. I'm going to give you guys a quick piece of information. In 2003, the All-Star Game brought in 10.8 million views. In 2023, it brought in 4.6. Yeah, I think you guys need to have a discussion. I think you guys need to have a very serious discussion. That's number one. I saw this on, what was it, Too Raw for TV or Too Raw for Media, one of his pages. I was listening to him. Go check him out. I think it was Too Raw for Sports. Too Raw for Sports. Just this morning. And he had a video where he was reacting to the comments of Jaylen Brown, who said, apparently the 65-game minimum is too much. Jaylen Brown basically just signed a $300 million contract. I'm going to say what most of these jokers are not going to say. There's something unethical about all of this. From a business standpoint, there is something unethical about all of this. And I'm speaking directly to the relationship between the consumer and the product. What is the product? The NBA, right? Who are the consumers? The consumers are the people that watch, that go to the game, patronize the product by going there, sitting down in those arenas, paying for parking, paying for tickets, paying for food, paying for gas, all of those things. Those are the customers. Now, the NBA is a league that does what? They market their stars. Am I understanding this correct? Because this seems to be pretty rudimentary to me. They market their stars, which means what? If you market your stars, fans are excited to see who? But they're certainly not excited to see the bench warmers. They're excited to see the stars. So when they show up to these arenas, they expect to see the stars. All too often in the past, they don't see the stars. But you cut their money. So I pay you for something you never gave me. I'm going to repeat it once more. I pay you for something you never gave me. Is that ethical? Is it ethical? Is a question I'm at. Of course it's not ethical unless you're a crook. It is unethical. But then the stars are now saying, listen, some nights we may or may not show up. I'm sorry. We got to work on our bodies and rest ourselves. But then they're now saying the following. I want you to pay me a contract that takes into account 82 games, but I don't want to be required to play all 82 games. As a matter of fact, I don't even want to be required to play 75% of the 82 games. I'll probably want to be required to play 60%. So you want 100% of money, but you only want to earn 60% of it. What does that make you? A crook. I'm sorry. If I pay a guy, if I go out there and I'm trying to build a hotel and I get an architect, I say, give me the plan for this hotel. He says, what do you need? I want to build a 5-star hotel, 100 bedrooms. Give me the floor plans. Give me the pool. Give me all of those things. How much do you want? I want $150,000. No problem. I'll pay you the money. The architect shows up and has half of the plan there. But I paid him. And he sees nothing wrong with the fact that he hasn't fulfilled his obligation to me. And I'm supposed to be cool with it? Help me figure it out. I'm supposed to be cool with it? Or if you walk in McDonald's, you order a Big Mac and fries and nuggets, and you get to the window, and they're like, okay, you pay. And then they go, okay, oh, sorry, we got the Big Mac, we got the fries, we ain't got nuggets. Come back next time. How are you supposed to feel about that? You're going to get out of your car, go inside, and do what? Request for a refund. Because this is unethical. I don't understand these group of dudes. I don't. These are like the most coddled, softest dudes in the world. You're getting paid mega millions of dollars to play a sport. And all fans are asking you to do is live up to your side of the bargain, which is play. And you can't even do that. They don't even want to compete in All-Star Weekend no more. They don't even want to do it. If anybody following this particular product, which is the NBA, speaking from a standpoint of a fan and someone that patronizes the product quite literally, this is terrible. It is just terrible. Speaking from the perspective of the paying customer. And if you are in business and you're not listening to your customers, very soon you're going to be out of business. Very, very soon. Why they continuously spit in the face of their customers is beyond my level of comprehension. Totally beyond it. Totally. I don't understand it. And they just do it however the hell they want to do it. LeBron said we got to have a talk. Yeah, I think you guys need to have a talk. This morning, funny enough, I was talking to Marco. Usually we have Marco, the co-founder, Dreamerspro. We usually have like a morning meeting every day. They just kind of take inventory of what happened the day before, talk about possible topics we can discuss today, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this morning we were talking about Shannon Sharpe, right? As you guys know, Shannon Sharpe, at the beginning of the year, owned the first 4 weeks of this year. The single interview, I believe, has 60 million views. I believe the entire interview has well over 100 million views in aggregate. Then after that, he has the Monique interview, which I believe has at least 10 plus million views, maybe 12, 13, 14, I don't know. But with that Cat Williams interview, it brought a lot of shrapnel towards Shannon Sharpe. Why? Because it was a controversial sit down. Why? Cat Williams came on there and he was basically calling out various comedians and entertainers that he has had issues with in the past. And Shannon Sharpe gave him the platform to do so. And with that, some people were critical of Shannon by saying, listen, bro, you kind of let this guy run amok on your show. He just said whatever the hell he wanted to say. And Shannon was like, listen, number one, my policy is when a guest comes on my show, I allow them to talk. And number two, I'm taking a lot of what they say. You know, I'm believing what they're saying. I'm not coming into these shows with the assumption that these guys are lying, right? So you had that. And after that interview, given the fact that he called out so many people, it brought up, you know, Steve Harvey, Kevin Hart, all of these guys, right? So then what happens? That interview blows up, goes beyond viral. Then Shannon and his team figured out something that worked, which is, listen, we've been doing these interviews for over a year now. But this particular format that we just did of getting a comedian that has issues with other comedians to come on the show and express their grievances works. So what did he do? He went out there and got another comedian in Monique who has issues with Steve Harvey, Kevin Hart, you name them. So Monique, DL Hughley, all of these people. So Monique comes on there, and she starts going at different people. I think she went at Tyler Perry. She went at a lot of people, right? Shannon Sharpe let that go down. And then what happened after that was comedians started to go with Shannon Sharpe, Mike Epps, and all of these people, and like, hold up. What's going on here? Like, your platform, they started to call it Club Messe. Some people were saying it, right? And then what happened was Shannon Sharpe now started getting into this back and forth with Mike Epps, which got pretty heated, and they had to kind of tone it down and squash the beef. And then Mace made some comments, and then Shannon Sharpe started going at Mace. And then just this morning, I opened up my IG, and usually I follow Shannon, so usually sometimes they do behind the scenes of some of his shows before it comes out. And in the clip, they showed the show being recorded, and you can see Shannon Sharpe saying, you know, why do y'all got to use my name to get clicks and views? And why do y'all have to use my name to not to get clicks and views, to make your show funny? He was responding to some of the comedians. Why you got to use my name? And when I saw that, it made me think to myself, because another person that went at him less than 24 hours ago was DL Hughley, who recently said he's not going to go on Shannon Sharpe's show, and Eddie Griffin, who's another comedian that went at Shannon Sharpe. And as I was thinking about all of that, and I saw Shannon's reaction this morning, you know, it made me begin to realize that there's something in this. There's a major mistake that Shannon, I believe, is making that no one is really focusing on. I think a lot of us are more focused on the back and forth, you know, the drama and everything. And it sells, right? It sells, and it's going to generate a lot of clicks, a lot of views. But I think that what we need to focus on, and by the way, I think it's important that I say this, for the past year and a half, I've been saying that I believe that Shannon Sharpe is going to be the biggest thing in sports media. I've been saying that for 2 years, year and a half. You can go back and look at the videos. I don't need to lie about a damn thing. That's number one. Number two, I said I think Shannon Sharpe is charismatic, funny, all of those things. The only thing I disagree with him from now until the end of time is his crazy LeBron James takes. But I said he's going to be bigger than ever before, and I said that he's going to make more money in this second part of his career than he ever did in the first half. That's what I said. And this thing is beginning to come to fruition. I'm not taking credit for his success. What I'm saying is that I knew this was coming. However, I think the mistake Shannon is making is this, and it's easy to say the mistake because I'm not in his position, but we as people can learn from the mistakes of others and from ourselves, right? We can learn from the mistakes that we make, but we can also learn from other people's mistakes if you're smart. Looking at Shannon Sharpe's situation, I think the mistake that Shannon Sharpe is making is that he's losing sight of the content. He's losing sight of the business. Shannon is now gone from having the biggest interview ever on YouTube to now being synonymous with beefs and beefing with comedians and all of that stuff. That's where this thing is headed to. And what I think is doing is a few things. Number one is diluting his product, right? It's diluting his product. And number two, it is pigeonholing him. Because then what's going to happen is if this continues, Shannon Sharpe is going to be known as the dude that's beefing with other comedians and other entertainers who have who are diametrically opposed to some of his views and some of the actions that he takes on his show. And the problem with that is you ain't going to be able to please everyone, number one. Number two, with more success comes more drama and varying opinions. Not everyone is going to love what you're doing. But I do think that some of the comedians that have been saying, listen, you have figured out a formula in which you get one angry comedian, you bring up, and then you put him or her on your show, and then you get that person to go with the other person, and it creates friction. And some of these comedians are beginning to call him out because these are really only comedians. And that's number one. I think number two, Shannon is becoming a little bit too defensive. Shannon is ready to fight with everybody. And I don't believe that this helps him. I don't believe that this serves him. I've seen situations where various people in media have beefed with each other and it never really ends well. It never, ever, ever, and nothing positive. What usually happens is you create a hot moment and everybody's tuning in to hear what's happening. But then what happens? Like with everything, people move on. They move on. They move on. Number one. Number two, during those moments of anger, most likely what's going to happen is you're going to say something that you're ultimately going to regret, or say something that's going to get you in trouble. Right? I've had a situation where I put myself in a situation where I lost my temper and all of that because I was baited into something. So I'm not saying this from a sanctimonious, self-righteous position, but I think that Shannon needs to be careful. I think Shannon should just try his best to avoid all of these people. But also understand that, listen, this is an observation that your audience has made. People are making that. Listen, they think that your show is now becoming about beef, stirring up drama between comedians. So you need to sit back and kind of self-reflect and say, well, is there some truth to this? And stop dismissing it as, oh, these people are jealous of me. Because the fact of the matter is the vast majority of these people are successful. Mace is not jealous of Shannon Sharpe. Steve Harvey's not jealous of Shannon Sharpe. D.L. Hughley's not jealous of Shannon Sharpe, right? I don't believe these things. And now some comedians like D.L. Hughley is saying that he would never come on Shannon Sharpe's show. Some people are saying, but you went on Vlad, he went on this. Yeah, I get that, but D.L. Hughley knows that if he now goes on Shannon Sharpe's show, it's going to be about some beef and some drama that he has with some other comedians. He knows that. And I don't think Shannon wants to get to a place where people start saying, you know what, we're going to avoid this show because it's all about drama. I don't think that's where Shannon Sharpe, I don't think that's what he envisioned for himself when he started Club Shay Shay. As you guys know, this is All-Star Weekend, and before the weekend started, we actually put up a number of polls that I want to get to, right? Because I wanted to kind of gauge the sentiment of some NBA fans going into All-Star Weekend, because I wasn't really feeling much excitement. So I wanted to see what some people were feeling. So 2 days ago, I put up a poll just before the weekend started. I said, are you excited about All-Star Weekend as an NBA fan? Of the 15,000 voters, 85% said no, they're not. I asked the next question, are you going to watch the All-Star 3-point contest? Of the 10,000 voters, 61% said no. I then asked the next question, are you going to watch the Slam Dunk contest? 74% of the people said no. And the final question I asked was, are you planning to watch the All-Star game in general? We conducted that poll 2 days ago. Out of the 20,000 people, which I think is a very good sample size, 20,000 people voted, 75% of them said no. So basically 7 to 8 people, 7 to 8 out of every 10 people are saying no, they're not going to watch. And I was like, wow, that is incredible. Now, I had no interest in watching. I didn't watch any of Saturday's festivities, but I did watch some of the All-Star game itself because I have to watch it. Like, I got to have an idea what happened, some idea. Given the fact that we talk about the NBA. But after the first quarter, I was already fed up, and I didn't make it past the first quarter. As a matter of fact, 12 hours ago, I posted on the channel, I said the following. I said they are overdoing it with these threes. 42 three-point attempts between both teams in the first quarter is absolutely ridiculous. So what happened? I turned off the game. I wake up in the morning just to see the score, and I could not believe what I saw. That the East ended up winning, get this, 211 to 186 with 197 three-point attempts combined. That is a horrendous number. That shows you that we got a serious problem with the All-Star game. So what happened? I'm going through that. I put up those posts. People are reacting to it. Then one of our viewers sends me a message on Instagram with a post from the page, the boardroom. So let me get into this stat here, and we want to put it up for you. It says, MJ's last All-Star game of his career is still the most watched All-Star game in the last 20 years. Michael Jordan played his last All-Star game in 2003. If you look at the graphic carefully, you'll see it's the bar graph. You'll see that in the year 2003, 10.8 million people tuned into that game. In 2023, 4.6 million tuned in. So the NBA lost half of his audience. Half. half of his audience. Now, some people may have looked at that graph and want to put it up again, and you may see a number in 2011 which says 9.1. You're like, why 9.1 million? What happened specifically in 2011? Well, that was a year after Kobe Bryant had won his 5th championship. That game was also in LA. Kobe Bryant won the All-Star Game MVP that year. And of course, you had the Blake Griffin hype. So according to this data, Kobe and Jordan were the ones that were able to move the needles in these All-Star games. And since 2011, it's been a decline for the most part. And in 2023, 4.6 million people tuned in. 4.6. This era is the worst of the worst. What does this say? Every day I gotta sit up here and listen to all of these pundits go out there, twerk it up all over our television screens, twerk it up all over YouTube, busting it down, talking about this is the greatest era of football, this is the greatest era of basketball I done ever seen. I mean, we ain't never seen nothing like this. The way the stars can move the needle. I mean, god damn, look at the way that they can move the needle. Pop, 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 pop. Really? We just sat down and listened to a back and forth with Shannon Sharpe and Pat McAfee and all of these guys talk about, oh, LeBron is the biggest draw in basketball. Where are these people? Where are these people? Let me look on Instagram and see how many followers does LeBron James have on Instagram. LeBron James has 159 million followers on Instagram. He must have at least 100 million on Twitter, X, whatever the hell you want to call it, and various other platforms. Why isn't this translating into viewership? The reason this isn't translating into viewership is because I personally believe that these numbers you're seeing are superficial numbers. These 150 million don't mean a day. It's not translating to actual people tuning in and watching. It's not. The fact of the matter is the following. The NBA has yet to find a star like an MJ, like a Kobe, that can actually move the needle. They have yet to find it, number one. Number two, this current style of basketball that is being promoted, advocated for in the NBA is not enjoyable for fans to watch. Forget about what the JJ Reddicks and all of these people on the internet twerking it up all over the place. A few people, oh, this is the people are not watching. It's not just a sentiment. Look at the numbers. The audience in 20 years has shrank by 50%. 50%. So there's no way you're going to tell me things are greater than ever. Whenever you hear Commissioner Adam Silver say, oh, we're experiencing a new high, they're talking about a high from a previous low. So it's like the low was like 2.5 million. Then it goes to 2.6 and you're like, oh, we saw a growth. No, but it's still low. That's what these dudes are doing. I didn't even bother watching. 197 threes, that is an average of 100 3-point attempts per team. Really? That is about 25 3-pointers attempted per quarter. This is truly the cupcake era. And the NBA needs to find some real dudes that are willing to play and draw people in, because this ain't it. This ain't it. These dudes ain't it. MJ and Kobe are the only ones that seem to be able to move the needle. And the data shows it. It shows it. Forget about Nick Wright and Shannon Sharpe and all of these dudes twerking it up all over the television screen. Those dudes were actually popular and actually icons. Forget about what these boys are telling you. They can tell you this, they can tell you that, they can't prove nothing. 4.6 million? 4.6? With the advent of social media and all, and that's the best we can do? I'm out.